Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Mezco 112 Collective Netflix Daredevil figures. And in this review we're going to be taking a look at both the Vigilante version and the standard version because there's similarities between these two figures, and I thought that it would make sense just to knock them out in one video. So here we are, but let's get into it, starting with the packaging. First off, the Vigilante version comes with the smaller Mezco packaging. It has a Mezco sticker up here, has some nice looking Daredevil font on here. It says Netflix Daredevil at the bottom. On the side there's not too much going on, but on the back we get some really cool looking artwork, and it looks like the artwork is kind of inspired by season 3, or at least the look of Daredevil himself is inspired by season 3 because he has the arm wraps. But this artwork is really cool, and on this side we have nothing, and it is a collector friendly box, so it is cool, and I like the fact that it's smaller than the standard Mezco boxes. And then for the regular version it comes with a big annoying Mezco box, and it looks very similar to the Vigilante version, except there's promo shots on the back instead of artwork, so that's the only difference there. But it's also collector friendly. But enough of these boxes, let's get to the figures. Okay, so let's start off with the standard version. And when pictures of this guy first started popping up online, I really wasn't impressed, and I was almost going to pass on it, but I'm so happy that I decided to grab it because when I got it in hand I was really impressed, and I actually like this guy a lot. So let's take a look at it here. I think the suit looks very good. I like all the little padded details on it. I love the texture of the red. I think it looks awesome, and I like all the layers and stuff like that. And you know, I know that there's differences between the 3 suits and the 3 seasons, or actually 4 seasons including the Defenders. I know that there's a bunch of differences in the suits, but they're all very subtle. So, you know, I'm not an expert on the Daredevil suits. For me, if it feels and looks like Daredevil, I'm good to go. But from what I could tell, this one kind of looks how he did in the Defenders. But like I said, the differences are very subtle, so for me, it really doesn't matter. I like that the suit is a very deep red. On camera, it looks a little lighter than it does with the naked eye, but it looks very good. I like it a lot. And at first I thought the color of the head and the suit were going to be drastically different, but like I said, in hand they match up perfectly. So I do like it a lot. Here's the head sculpt that is on the body in the box, and that looks good too. I like all the details, all the line work, the paint work looks good. A lot of people were hating on the facial expression, but I mean, I think it's fine. It's a white dude with a mask, so it works. I do wish there was a little bit more stubble. I think that would have been awesome, but just as is, I think it looks okay. I like the way that the eyes look. It has like that different color red that looks great. And yeah, let's check him out, man. He looks good. These little wrist cuff things are a loose piece, I think. Yeah, they are, so they kind of move around. And one thing I'm not crazy about is how these little studs look. I wish they had a more realistic look. They just kind of look like gray paint onto those pads. So that's something they could have done a little bit better if they actually had little studs there. And even in the neck area, there's a lot of texture work, so that looks really good. And there's just a lot of nice details on this body. They did a really good job with it. I like the straps and everything. There's just a lot of little things everywhere. So it's really cool. They really did a good job with this suit. So one problem I do have is in the underarm, it kind of gets bunched up in there, but that's about it. Other than that, everything looks really nice on this suit. Got nice sculpting work on the boots. But yeah, in hand, this figure looks way better than it does on video or in pictures or anything like that. So I'm happy that, you know, I went ahead and grabbed it because I would have been missing out for sure. But yeah, look at the texture on the red. It kind of reminds me of like the material from Black Panther or something, but maybe not as thick or not as spongy. So it does look like actual, some kind of like body armor, you know, it doesn't just look like cloth or something. Again, here I think this would have benefited from having some kind of actual studs or just like little pieces of metal glued on there. Maybe I'll do that just to make it look more realistic. Same thing up here, you know, that kind of looks goofy when it's just painted. But yeah, for the most part, I think this figure looks great. I mean, I'm very happy with it. And maybe because I had lower expectations, and that's why I was so happy with it when I opened it. But yeah, this figure, he looks awesome. So let's take a look at the Vigilante version. So here's where things get kind of weird, because for some reason Mezco decided to use 2 different bodies for the same character, and it's not like these 2 figures capture Matt Murdock in different points in his life or something like that. He rotates between these 2 looks within the series, so it just doesn't make any sense to me. And the body that they chose to use for the Vigilante version is the Joker Spock body, and that's just such a poor choice for the articulation. The articulation setup on this body sucks. Man, it's just so disappointing. But I will say the figure does look good. I think the execution of the costume is good, and the build for this body works for Daredevil. It's a little skinnier than the other Daredevil, but I mean, I'm still okay with the way it looks. as far as the build goes. But yeah, I think the material looks nice. I like how they have the red line here just to kind of break up the black a little bit. And one thing I thought I wasn't going to like was the overlay on the sleeves here, but I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. And speaking of the arms, something I didn't notice right away was that on the underside of the arms, there's this weird like tread or gripping, or I don't know how to describe this texture here, but it's a little bit different from the rest of the arms. Like as you could see, everything else is smooth. But then down here, it's like a weird texture. So I don't know what the purpose of that is, but I like that it kind of breaks up the look a little bit. So that's cool. And then the pants look great too. You have like a little fake pocket there. The belt looks good. It kind of looks like the belt is looped into his pants somehow, but it's just held on with strings. But it works because the strings kind of line up with the loop. So they look good. And then you have his fists with some details on there. And I just really dislike how skinny these arms are. It just looks so weird, but... yeah, I think the costume details look great. You have the billy club holder here. That looks awesome. Again, you have some sculpted work on the boots. I believe the boots are the same on the two figures. Yeah, it looks like they are. Or very similar at least. Maybe some subtle differences that I'm not noticing. Now it looks like they're the same. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think the look of this figure is pretty good. But yeah, this body just sucks. And let's take a look at the head sculpt here. The head sculpt is nice, but same kind of problem. I do wish that it had more stubble. His nose kind of looks a little pointy, but for the most part, I think the head looks pretty good. I don't have any big problems with it. For the accessories, both figures come with the exact same stuff. So let's get into it, starting with the hands. They both come with a pair of fists. Then they both have like loose open hands. And then for the last set of hands, they both come with a set of gripping hands that could be used to hold on to the billy clubs. And it's not the tightest grip ever, but they are able to hold on to these things without any problems. And they both come with alternate heads. The Vigilante version comes with a battle damaged head that kind of shows some blood in the mouth area and then some blood leaking from the mask. I think that's pretty cool. I think it would have been a pretty cool added touch if the mask was kind of ripped up and maybe you could see like his eye under there or something crazy like that. I think that would be interesting, but as is, I do like the battle damage look for this head. And the alternate head for the standard version is just a super pissed off Daredevil, and I like that a lot. I think I like that better than the regular head. Looks like he's ready to get down. And the billy clubs for both figures are very well done, especially on the regular version. I really like the texture and stuff on the billy clubs, and I like the fact that you could peg them together. And that looks good. And the Vigilante versions are nice too, but they're way more basic. They just look like carved sticks, but I love the fact that they're not perfectly straight and they actually look like they're hand carved. And both figures are able to holster the billy clubs into the billy club holder onto their leg, and they fit into there with no problems at all. And both figures come with the standard Mezco display stand, and these things do look nice, but they scratch really easy and they're kind of big. I don't really use them. If you have any other Mezco figures, you already know what the deal is with these stands. Now for some quick size comparisons, here we have the two Netflix Daredevils next to two Mezco comic book Daredevils, and you can see they're all roughly around the same size. Next up, we have them alongside the Marvel Legends Worthy Cap and the Mezco 112 Collective Homemade Homecoming Suit Spider-Man. And now here we have them alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Blade, which is probably still my favorite Mezco Blade figure this year, and the Mezco 112 Collective Comic-Con exclusive Tactical Suit Punisher. Next up, we have them here alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Sovereign Knight Batman and the Mezco 112 Collective Previews exclusive Black Suit Spider-Man. Here we have them alongside the Mafex Comic Book Spider-Man and the Mafex Homecoming Spider-Man. And I really wish Mafex would make one of these two versions of Daredevil. I think they would do a great job with it. And for the final comparison, we have them alongside the Marvel Select Netflix Daredevil and the Marvel Legends Netflix Daredevil. And I was considering doing a comparison video between the three of them, but I don't know. I don't feel like there's much of a competition. I feel like there's one clear winner here, but you guys let me know what you think. And since I have all these figures right here, let's go ahead and try some head swaps. So first off, let's try the Marvel Select Daredevil head onto the Mezco body, because I've always liked this Diamond Select head sculpt. And it doesn't quite pop on. It just kind of sits there, but I think it looks pretty good. Let's check it out. Look at that. That looks good. This head sculpt is awesome. But yeah, I gotta find a way to stick it on there for good. But I do think that looks great. And let's take a look at the two head sculpts side to side. And the Mezco one looks good, but it's just a little soft. It has that weird Mezco skin texture. But the Diamond Select one, yeah, that looks crazy. I like that a lot, so I might have to find a way to stick that on there, because it just kind of sits there for now. And it looks like the peg hole on the Mezco one is too small to fit on either one of these two figures. So, I mean, it seems like that would have looked cool. but it's not really going to work unless you want to modify the head, which I don't want to do. And let's see. Yeah, no way is this going. So we're not going to try that. But let's go ahead and try the Marvel Legends one onto the Mezco one. Yeah, and that doesn't look great either. And it won't even sit down. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Looks okay. I'm not a big fan of it though. I think the best look is this right here. Like I said, the head is a little small, but I think that's it. That looks good. So for the articulation, let's start off with the standard version, and I'm not really sure which body they used here. I feel like it might be the same body as the comic book Daredevils, or maybe the same body as the Punisher figures, but I can't be 100% sure. Either way, I do like the articulation setup of this body, so I'm good with what we have here. But let's get into it. His head is able to move side to side, and you do have the more common Mezco neck setup where where the head and the neck are a separate piece, and the neck and the torso are a separate piece. So you get a lot of movement, you get some side to side, you get some really good tilt to it. And you could look up to right there, which is nice. You could bring it down to right there, which is good. And then for the torso, again, you have the standard torso that Mezco does, where it's the mid-torso cut and then a cut at the waist. And using both of them, get some decent movement. You could bend to about right there. It's not the best, but it's okay. He gets some side to side, which is pretty good. Get a little bit of twist. And he could go back to about right there. So the costume design definitely restricts the movement because you have these pads here in the torso. So that's gonna kind of mess with you a little bit. But for the arms, we do have that slight butterfly joint. And you could bring his arms up only to like right there because this costume is kind of thick. So you could only get it to about right there. I mean, you might be able to get it more if you want to push it, but I really don't want to risk messing any of this up. And same on the way back, you know, not much movement. Maybe after moving it a little bit, it kind of breaks in. Maybe we get some more movement. For now, that's all we have. And then you can bring his arm out to the side. And then you have upper bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows that are pretty decent, but the costume kind of bunches up and restricts them a little bit. But still, you're getting more than 90, so I'm okay with that. And then for the legs, can't really do the splits because the costume kind of stops you, but you can bring his legs out to the side right there, get some good side kicks going. Bring his leg back to right there. Forward to right there. Then you have the upper thigh swivel. Double jointed knee. Swivel at the boot. Swivel at the foot. And you could bring his foot forward to right there, not very much. Bring it up to right there. So his up and down movement on the foot isn't very good, but you do have some side to side, which is pretty decent. So the articulation on this guy is pretty good. So now on to the Vigilante version, and man, it's so like heartbreaking that they chose to choose this body for Daredevil. I know that's a little dramatic, but you know, it's just really disappointing that they chose to use this body for Daredevil because it just doesn't work for a character that needs to be able to be put in like acrobatic fighting poses and all kinds of things like that. This body just doesn't work. If you're going to use it on a character that's just standing there, then fine. But as far as characters that need to move around, it just doesn't do the job. So it's very disappointing. But let's get into it. So for the head and the neck are one piece, so you only get movement where the lower neck meets the torso, and that's not horrible. There's some pretty decent movement there. You could go side to side, you could look left to right, he could look up to about right there, and then his little these pieces that are hanging down kind of get in the way, so you know, that's all right. And then it moves down to right there, so it's pretty decent movement at the head. And then for the torso, you can move side to side. It has the typical Mezco torso where you have the mid torso cut, and then a cut at the waist, just like the other Daredevil and like most Mezco figures. So that's cool. You get some pretty good movement, and this body actually gets some decent crunch. You know, check that out. Not too bad on the crunch as far as Mezco figures are concerned. And then he can go back to about right there. And then for the arms, the worst part of this figure. Let's look at it. So they could come up to right here. They're a little less restricted than the other one because the costume style. So you get some nice movement there. But then bring them out to the side. There's no upper bicep swivel, so it's like, oh man, that sucks. But the worst part about it is that there's single jointed elbows. Why would they put single jointed elbows on a Daredevil figure when there's so many bodies that they could use. They could use the Gomez body, the Spider-Man bodies, that Daredevil body, whatever. It's like, why did they do this, man? It's so disappointing. So single jointed elbow, swivel at the elbow, swivel at the wrist, hinge at the wrist. And yeah, man, that sucks. That's the only thing that sucks about this body. But Daredevil needs his arms. So even if they use this exact same body, but changed out the arms, I'd be okay with it because the rest of the body is fine. But man, those arms are so garbage. And it sucks because, like, not only do they not get good range, they also just look awkward in almost any pose. I mean, you can't get them in natural, like, swinging fight poses. I mean, a talented poser could definitely make things happen, you know? But for the most part, it's going to be a chore, and that sucks, you know? So, anyways, I don't want to be too negative because it doesn't make me hate the figure, but it's a very, very disappointing aspect to the figure. So, let's continue on here. So, his legs could come out to the side to about right there. You could almost do the splits, but, you know, then the pants kind of get tight, so I don't want to risk that. And then they could come up to the front to about right there. They come back to right there. Then you have the upper thigh swivel. Double jointed knee, swivel, nah, not really a swivel at the boot, but you have swivel at the foot, a little bit of movement up and down, and then you have some rocking. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to complain too much more about it, but yeah, these arms suck. Other than that, the articulation's okay on this figure, but I prefer the articulation on that Daredevil way more than this one, so it is what it is. Okay, so overall, I do like both of these figures, but I will say that I like the standard version more, and even though all the details aren't perfectly accurate to the TV show, I do feel that it captures the look and spirit from the Netflix Daredevil TV show, so I am happy with the way that it looks. I think that the articulation is pretty good, even though some of it's hindered because the costume is a little bit baggy and it kind of gets bunched up in areas, so, you know, that's something they could have improved on, or that's something they could have done a little bit better. But as is, I am very happy with this figure. I think the accessories are pretty good too, but I do wish that he came with an unmasked Matt Murdock head. I think that would have been perfect, but as is, I'm fine with the accessories, and I'm very surprised with that figure because I wasn't really expecting to like it as much as I do, and I was almost going to pass on it, so I'm very happy that I didn't, and I'm very happy that they didn't use that stupid Joker body like they did on the Vigilante version. And man, I'm going to say that this Vigilante Daredevil is probably the most disappointing Mezco figure ever, because for me, I was so excited about it. It looked so good, but once I found out that it was using this Joker body, it was just like, oh, what the heck? Why? You know, I just don't understand. But, you know, it is what it is. This is what we have. And I'm not going to say that it's the worst Mezco figure. Not at all. It's a decent figure. It's good. I like it. I like the way that it looks. And you could get him into some cool just standing there kind of poses. But as far as playing with it and getting some really dynamic fighting shots and things like that, it's going to be really, really tough. And for me, you know, Mezco's whole thing is pose, play, display. And for that figure, it pretty much only checks one of those boxes. So it's disappointing, man. I just don't know why they did it. And I hate to be negative when talking about any kind of action figures. I do try to look at the positive aspects of everything, and he does have positive aspects. He looks great, the costume looks nice, and I'm okay with the accessories too. An unmasked Matt Murdock head would have been cool, but I'm fine with the battle damaged head. But yeah, I just don't get this choice in the body. And I'm sure that, you know, I would say that I would ask Mezco at Comic-Con, but chances are they will just, you know, they probably won't even answer. And if they did answer, they would just say, oh, you know, cost or something, or, you know, the body looked good, or oh, who knows. But I'm just baffled, and I would love to hear the excuse as to why they use this body. I don't know, maybe I'm being dramatic, but it could have been one of the best Mezco figures. Not every character's look lends itself well to the Mezco aesthetic, but this Daredevil figure did. I mean, it's perfect for Mezco, and they just kind of dropped the ball. Damn, what the, oh man. Anyways, let's move on. These are cool figures. I'm very happy with the standard version. I'm disappointed with the Vigilante version, but I could live with it. But I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. And huge shout out to Sculptamo Toys. They're my go-to guys when it comes to Mezco figures. They get them fast, they send them out fast, and they're just awesome to deal with. So please be sure to check them out and also follow them on Instagram. I'll leave a link to their Instagram in the description below. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Peace.